Welcome viewers to ePathasala, the current series on GIS for the PG students of architecture. We were discussing about various aspects of structures in GIS, and one of them is vector and the other one is raster data model. One of the most efficient and one of the very important data structure is raster data. There are certain drawbacks accepted, but raster data is very efficient in making calculations. It does not have any impact of topology in that, because every object is continuous and every object is defined by a cell. In raster data, as the name indicates, it is an array of grid cells. Each cell will be of a predefined size. Depending upon the requirement, we can have larger size cells or smaller size, that is up to the individual and depending upon the application. What is important in raster is that it just looks into the shape of the object, invariably a geometric shape, and as long as this particular shape is interconnected to create automatically a planar surface, then there will not be any difficulty in creating a raster data. And to locate oneself, as in the case of your vector data, we use the x and y location, that is your latitude, longitude or your easting and northing. But in the case of your raster data, it is the row and column. As I was telling you, raster data is more of your array of grid cells. So, the location of each and every cell or pixel is defined by its row and column numbers. It does not give any precise locational information, because even a point will be an area. So, that is the reason why we normally do not intend to get details about your locational information, which will not be that very precise as far as your raster data is concerned. When you look at the data structure, how does the raster data appear? As I was telling you, it is a kind of a set of rows and columns that forms an individual cell. This is an individual cell, and these are the various rows and these are the various columns, and every cell has got a unique value, and naturally this has got an area which is proportional to the cell size also. And invariably most of this raster, they do not use other shapes other than your square. Square is one of the major types which are used in, or mostly used cell shape in raster data. What does it contain? One grid cell is one unit, or it holds one attribute. Even if the data is missing, you do not have to worry, it will have a value of 0 at least, and obviously a cell can hold a number or index value standing for a particular attribute or mentioning that attribute. And it has also got a resolution, which is the cell size in ground units. And when you refer or when you have a contiguous feature of your a particular theme, that grid cells, that set of grid cells are otherwise called as coverage. How do you define a grid cell or a grid rather? In a grid you will have n number of rows and n number of columns, and the origin will be x comma y, and the maximum will be depending upon what is the value you intend to give. That depends on the total number of cells, and this is obviously the cell size. And many places, in many cases, as it is a rectangular object or a square grid, it is always possible to have no data cell, because the entire grid is not covered by a non-regular surface, isn't it? If it were a square or a rectangular object, then it will cover the entire grid, otherwise it will not cover the entire grid. Hence, we will have no data cells also in a grid. What are the advantage of a raster data? Major advantage is that when I just try to have more than one layer together, let us presume that my fingers are your layers 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of the finger is representing one layer of different theme, and it is also divided into n number of cells, and each cell has got an attribute pertaining to that particular theme. So, obviously what will happen, in each and every layer you will have 1 1, that is the first row and the first column in each layer. When I overlay another layer, third layer, fourth layer, obviously at any given point of my selecting, I will have that particular row and column for the entire area, that is entire set of layers. It will be, for example, 2 2, it will be 2 2 in all the cases, it cannot be different, is not it, because the layers are of the same size, one, that is outer boundary, secondly it has also got same cell size. Obviously, every cell which is present in each of the layers will be of the same size and same outer boundary, and anywhere you prick or you wanted to get the data, it will automatically give you the values of each and every layer pertaining to that particular cell. It may be 2 2, 3 2, whichever row or column you want to select. So, that is a advantage. Further, when I want to make calculations, as each cell has got a specific value, I can either subtract corresponding layers from one layer to another layer, or add some layers, or even try to make multiplication depending upon the application. So, let us see one simple example of raster calculation. When I have values like this particular layer is a precipitation layer, and this layer is losses due to evaporation and infiltration. And I know that from 100 millimeter of precipitation, if 20 or 25 millimeters of loss or infiltration takes place each and every cell, then obviously you will have 70 or 75 depending upon the infiltration losses. To make a calculation, you just simply have to overlay, and then as I said, use a simple arithmetic sign, either symbol, either minus or plus or whatever you want to have. So, when I take this precipitation subtracted with your losses and evaporation, then a resulting output will be runoff. Of course, do not worry about the context here, it is only this layer minus this layer will give you this layer, and obviously 5 minus 3 will be 2, 6 minus 3 will be 3, 7 minus 2 will be 5, 6 minus 4 will be 2. So, like this every part of the cell with corresponding to its location and position, it will either add or subtract or multiply whatever application you have, depending upon that it will automatically give the output. So, that is about a raster calculator. We talk about the data structures and basic concepts. I was talking to you about, I was telling you about the grid. This is the grid. Invariably, in most of the cases, we normally have this lower end as your, this end at the lower part, left side will be your say origin. In the case of a grid, incidentally it is not the lower, but it is the upper left corner, this corner. From here you take this as 0 0 and this is 100 100. However, when you just consider two types, one is state planar coordinate system and the UTM, it will consider lower left, because this as well as your long lat and your Cartesian coordinate system, they will have different centers, different origins. In the case of your UTM, because it is representing the earth as such, that is the earth is split in or divided into n number of cells, this will be the value 0 0. In case of earth, as you know pretty well, you normally make measurements in the form of your say degrees, taking the center as the value. From the center, lines are projected onto the surface 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degrees and so on and so forth. Hence, in the case of lat long and Cartesian coordinate system, you will have center as the grid, this origin. In the case of your most of the other cases, it will be your top left, and in the case of your state planar coordinate system and the UTM, it will be lower left. As you know that each and every cell will have some value, and most of the time it is an 8-bit assigned to values, and obviously you will have values from 0 to 255. Though it is 2 power 8 is 256, we say 0 to 255 because 0 is also another value. This is very characteristic in the case of your satellite imagery or satellite data rather. When you talk about satellite data, the values irrespective of the improvements in digital classification, digital values, they are still using only 8-bit. Though we have 32-bit, 64-bit computers, 8-bit is that is actually being used in your satellite data. Previously it was 124 levels and now it is 256 levels, which is resulting from 8-bit. Now, when I talk about 8-bit 0 to 255 levels of values, 0 represents in satellite data darkest, minimum or no reflection. When I talk about 255th level, the brightest, maximum reflection. So, in that what is the case of your satellite data. In general, we can even work out with any kind of other details. What are the rules which are needed to assign a value to the cell, though it does not cover the entire cell. Say for example, when I have something like this, it does not cover the entire cell, is not it? Here you see, it does not cover the entire cell. Of course, this one let me consider. Here you see, it is all not there, part of it is only being considered. So, we try to consider which of that this particular line maximum what will be the coverage of this cell, will be more or will it be less, and normally we try to look at the values at the center of the cell. So, at the center of the cell whatever is that particular cell will be given the value of that particular object. And when you have problem like this at road network or your river bodies, you take the center again, it takes whichever it touches. For example, this it does not touch. So, whereas this particular small bit it is touching that road. So, this cell will be attributed that value. We also sometimes give the weightage based on the rare features which are being represented. How do you choose the cell size? As you know that this will decide the quality of the output. Normally choose the raster cell size as half the length, that is 1/4 of the area of smallest feature to map. I have already told you about the resolution. The resolution element will be the minimum mapping unit, that is what is the capability of the satellite to or the sensor to discern the smallest size of the object on the earth surface. So, based on that, obviously when I say half of the length, it is 1/4 of the area, is not it? So, we will be in a position to obtain that detail. And orientation, normally raster is orientation will be angle between true north and the direction defined by raster columns. So, that will be the orientation of the one. So, if the true north is like this and the raster is in this direction, that angle will be taken. If this is the case, there will not be any very difficulty and getting the orientation. What set of classes you have? When you have cells of the same value, one particular type, maybe sand soil, then it is called as a class. When you have the contiguous, that is adjacent cells of the same value, it is called as a zone. If I have anything like cells which are adjacent to a target cell, then it is called as a neighborhood. This is how the data structure as far as the raster is concerned is conceived. What are the various data file formats? Raster data file formats are dependent on two aspects. One is your raster data, the other one is your raster image. Of course, in our context, we are more interested in your raster data and satellite image, again it will be in the raster form. However, for completion sake, I have just given you some examples. What are the various formats which are being used or which are being utilized for creating a raster? What are the format name? Raster file formats, very much all of you are aware of this bitmap, where there is no compression. That is the reason normally we say bitmaps will be having a sizes much larger, is not it? Similarly, the same map, if I show it in TIFF image, tagged image file format, I will not have the difficulty in storing it in a smaller size. That is the reason most of the people use the TIFF image. Some people also use GIF. CompuServe is the organization who have devised this CompuServe's graphical interchange format, which can be used at various or different platforms. That is the reason GIF is also a popular one. Of course, these are all the ones which are all there for different applications. For example, one which is used for telephone and telegraph, it is called as CCITT. Again, it is a run length coding. This is one run length coding is there, Huffman coding. JPEG image, again a very popular one, Joint Photographic Experts Group, and this the one which is the smallest, occupies the minimum size in color. This is the one which will occupy minimum space in your black and white. And obviously, when it comes to GIS is the DEM or the RLE, run length coding or your DEM. The most difficult thing in raster data is its storage capability. How do you store the data? Vector data, as already we have seen, we are trying to store it in the form of your Tiger format, and you know it will be more of your point line area. Each of them is again comprising of a point data, and the size of a vector data will be very small, hardly in a few kbs. Whereas when it comes to raster data, because it occupies space in the form of a cell, and more the number of cells, the greater will be the size of the file. And so, what is that you are supposed to do then? You are supposed to compress the data. If you do not compress the data, well, you can store the data without any difficulty, but it will occupy huge spaces. Your hard disk space will be exhausted very fast. So, that is the reason we are supposed to compress the data. So, what kind of work we are going to do? How are you going to compress the data? We will see that. We should see that either we lose a little of accuracy so that we can increase the compression, that is called as lossy method. Another technique is your lossless technique, wherein which we definitely see that we do not lose anything and we will get the exact input stream, whether it is going to be compressed or expanded. So, in this case compression will take place, while expanding accuracy will be lost a little, not much, certain loss will be there. Lossless. So, what is that we are supposed to do? You use the data compression is done by either modeling plus coding part of it. So, what is that they do? The input stream, obtain a output stream, you use the various symbols, that is the attribute values, and then model that in such a way with the various different probabilities, you can encode it, or you can directly from the symbol you can encode it. Using the code you can get the output stream. What are the techniques which are lossless in nature, that is not losing any kind of accuracy? Huffman, run length encoding, LZ, these are all the methods which are using. Yes. BMP, as I was telling you, bitmap, normally it runs on MS Windows and the OS2 systems. Again, in the case of bitmap, it uses a 8-bit 256 levels to store color depth based on the palette, and each of the pixel is coded as index of the color table, so that it will be easy for retrieval. And you see the actual size, how it is calculated. File size is actually the number of pixels multiplied by number of bits per pixel. Obviously, it will become very large in size. Of course, color may vary from computer to computer. There are BMPs with 24-bit map, of course 8-bit is not the only one, which uses 3 bytes for each pixel to provide a depth of 16 million colors. I think all of you should be aware, a maximum of 15 or 16 is the color what an individual or with a naked eye one can identify. But still, when you say 16 million colors, very difficult, does not it? One can never identify or find out, but a computer can automatically do it because of its capability to discriminate the cells. Each of them will have its own color. Of course, it will be a shade. A gray will be 1 million shades. So, you can't visualize, but definitely you can differentiate or discriminate using a computer system. That is a characteristic of your BMP. Then you have another method, same bitmap, device independent bitmap or DIB. So, that is again allows the Windows to display the bitmap on any type of display device. It need not necessarily be a computer, it can be your handheld tab, it could be your mobile, whatever display you will wish to do that it is capable of doing that. So, it is device independent, means naturally many times people will try to send, when they send the data they do it as in DIB, because we are not sure whether the client is going to look at in a specific device. So, it will take care of that. So, the bitmap not what it does, it specifies the pixel color in a form which is independent of the method used by the display to represent that particular color. Hence, it will have its own system of coloring and it displays the detail. GIF, another prominent method, graphics interchange format. So, this is a inter-platform format created by, I told you, the CompuServe, the organization. and advantage is that each file can contain multiple images and uses the Lempel-Ziv-Wells algorithm for bitmap compression. Let us not go into those details which will be beyond our scope, because the extension blocks provide mechanisms for file annotation. It can have only 250 colors in a image, something like I was telling you 8-bit, that is all, not beyond that, 0 to 255 levels. Raster data formats which you are going to use it in GIS. There are certain advantages I told you, but there is no explicit coding of geographic coordinates, because it is implicit in the layout of the cells. As I was telling you, raster data has got a major advantage in the sense, though you do not have to have a topology, connectivity is not required, contiguity is not required, because every aspect of the raster data is connected directly because of the cells. When you are using a vector data, the drawback is that apart from that particular object, maybe the point or line or area, other areas, other parts of the object or the map is vacant or blank, that is literally vacuum. So, you will not be in a position to have a that is the reason we build the topology. We make the system to understand this particular line is intersecting with another line. I told you, when you just put one line over the other, you have to build a topology so that it creates a node, intersecting node between the two lines. Whereas in the case of raster data, it is not required. I was telling you it is a matrix where you can easily get the coordinate of any kind of a cell, because the origin of the point or the particular grid is known. Once you know that, that origin can be given a value of xy, that could be your latitude longitude, or that also could be your say your easting and northing data. And another important thing is that I was telling you, the calculations can be made and it is very convenient, because it is a 2-dimensional array. In computer coding, it becomes much easier when you are trying to work on 2-dimensional data. So, we can effectively use raster data for making calculations or manipulations. I told you that topology is not a relevant concept. Your GIS map structure, what does the GIS map structure mean in the case of your vector data? So, this one coverage is that, this is the entire coverage, and as you know, in the case of your vector data also, it is a set of map features, maybe a point, line and area. Obviously, annotation is also text labeling, and the surface will be continuous gradient. That is what is the case. So, in the case of your vector data, if it is a line, it will be discontinuous, that is all, there will be no more objects in between. But in the case of your vector, irrespective of whether it is line or polygon or a point data, it will be a continuous gradient. So, if it is an area, what does it contain? It contains a set of say parallel and whole cells forming aerial features. This is the one, all parallel to one another. If it is line, again set of parallel cells, this one, it just follows. Of course, this is indicating this object here, but still to make it easy, I am just telling you that. Cell, obviously there is no difficulty, it will be one single cell, a point data. So, when you say partial cell, you can see here, though if you take into consideration this one, green part is this polygon and the ash gray part is this part of the polygon. But how do you decide whether it belongs to this area or this area? What the system does, depending upon the actual occupation of that aerial occupation, whichever polygon or whichever that part is occupying more, it will be assigned to that polygon. If this attribute is occupying more, it will be attributed to this or to this. So, you can see here this polygon is given your automatically green color, whereas here you see it is given green color. Here, as this particular cell is occupied more by this attribute, it is given ash color. You see here, blue is lost, ash. So, whichever attribute is occupying or the theme is occupying more area in a given cell, that cell will be automatically attributed or given or provided to that particular theme. So, you may lose some data. Of course, whole locations, whole cell, the entire area should be covered by the same theme. Obviously, when you come to the tick, it is the common or the same thing as in a case of your vector data, where in which this will be the control point, and again that will be a kind of a cell, it cannot be a point data. What are the various raster models? Normally, as I was telling you, it uses grid cells, an array of grid cells. Different methods are there, but some of them are very important, like your quad tree, one of the good or the best method of representing the data. You have block coding, you have chain coding. So, varieties are there, and run length coding is also a very good compression technique. See, when I store the data as it is, I was just telling you about your capability of the computer, to what extent my computer will be blocked with the area. If I do not have any compression at all, what will happen? Irrespective of the area of coverage of that particular map or a theme, the entire cell, because as I was telling you, even if the object is a non-regular object, it will occupy other sides, because you cannot define, because a grid, an array of grid cells will be either rectangle or square. A part of the area only will be occupying, but still the disadvantage is this, it has to take into consideration the entire array of grid cells. As you can see here, when there is no compaction, though my object is only this one, this is my cell size or a grid size rather, and you see here everywhere 0 0 0, though they are of no value as far as I am concerned, only this is of importance to me. But I will have to take this 10 by 10 to accommodate this. Hence, what will happen? I will have to have 10 rows and 10 columns, and of course, the maximum value is only 1. Here you see here, everywhere you have values. So, there will be 103 values, do not get carried away, do not worry what is this 103. 10 by 10 cells will be 100, and the number of rows, number of columns and the maximum value will be forming the other 3 values. So, 103 values may have to be stored here. Obviously, what will happen? You find that when the cell is, when the data is stored, lot of redundancy, that means repetition, redundancy of data is very evident here. And we have a very important method, run length coding, one which is one of the earliest method and a very simple method used for data compression. A repeated string of characters normally is replaced by 2 bytes. So, the number of times that particular character appears and the character itself is replaced by that, and it only once it will be identified. It has got a 2-dimensional coding scheme. First line is coded using the ID, and then the next k lines are coded using the first line. Of course, this varies, the value of k varies for over various applications. A simple RLE code or your vector map. So, you have this RLE code or the vector map. So, this is how it appear. The same map, if I am showing in the form of a grid, see what happens? It goes like this, and this data again, how we can see the difference, 3 how smooth is here and how coarse it has become. As I was already telling you that based on the size of the cell, you can improve the smoothness of the particular object. So, just because the cell size is slightly bigger, it appears more coarse here, almost rectangular and a square type. When you just improve the cell size, then it will become smoother. So, let us stop with this for this episode on your raster data structure. Thank you.